In this video, you'll learn how to play bar chords on guitar. Bar chords are notorious for being difficult to play. They are a major hurdle for many people when first trying to learn them. However, they don't have to be if you practice bar chords in the correct way. Hi, this is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net, and if you've tried playing bar chords on guitar before, then you know they can be difficult to sound clean without notes buzzing out all over the place. I can still remember myself how difficult and frustrating it was to try and play bar chords when I first started playing guitar some 30 odd years ago. In this video, you're going to learn what I wish I'd known back then about bar chords when I first started playing. I'll show you exactly what to focus on when practicing bar chords so they become easy to play in just a short amount of time. So let's get to it. So the bar chord, the dreaded bar chord, it's not, it is challenging, of course. Bar chords are challenging. I'd be lying if I told you, hey, here's an easy way. It's not going to be challenging at all. It's going to be super simple. And in 1 minute, you'll be playing perfectly clean bar chords. Nothing substitutes for practice. It's a matter of your fingers getting used to forming the shape. However, there are correct ways to go about it and incorrect ways. The goal of this video is to get you on the right track so that you can get to clean sounding bar chords in the fastest way possible. I'm going to assume you're starting from scratch. So maybe you've tried playing bar chords before, that's fine, that's all right. This will still be useful for you. If you've never played a bar chord before, well, I'm glad you're here because it's a great time to start. I'm going to show you one bar chord here, pretty much one bar chord shape. I'm not going to get into all the shapes and so forth. It's more about the actual technique of forming the chord so you can sound it correctly. So if you think of an E major open chord, okay, and assume you know the E major open chord, this is where one of the bar chord shapes is sort of born, if you like, okay? So it comes from the E shape, the E open chord shape. But what we're going to do is we're going to refret this chord. Instead of using your first, second, and third fingers, you're going to use your second, third, and fourth fingers instead when you play that E chord shape. Okay, so now your first finger is free. Okay, it's just hanging there for the moment. And the first thing is just practice moving that shape up and down the fretboard. You could strum if you want. It's going to sound all right in some places and not in others, but it doesn't matter. It's beside the point. I just want you to start with, this is like sort of one half of the bar chord. And I just want you to be able to get comfortable moving it up and down the fretboard, maintaining the shape in the second, third, and fourth fingers. And as you can see, it's the E open chord shape. Okay, again, we've just refretted it, and now we're just moving it around, just becoming familiar with what is one half of the root 6 major bar chord shape. Now, once you've done that, and you've got a little comfortable with that first finger that is free now because we refretted the E chord, I want you to bring that down over the 6 strings of the guitar, 1 fret below where the E chord shape is, right? So now you're covering 3 frets. Now, don't put any pressure on the finger at all here, okay? It should be just touching the strings. The idea is that we do push down so that we can sound all the notes and get our bar chord. But right now, we're just taking it in stages. So just maintain, the second, third, and fourth fingers there for the E shape, and just keep that first finger in contact with the strings, but don't squeeze the neck. Don't try and, sound those notes at this point. Okay, it's going to be fine if it sounds like this. That's kind of how it should sound because we're purposely not putting pressure on that index finger, right? Continue doing what you were doing before, only now the first finger is joining the party, if you like, and you're moving that shape around. Okay, and what you have here is the root 6 major bar chord shape. Root 6 because it takes its name from the root note on the 6th string. So root 6, and major because it's a major bar chord shape that's basically come from the E major. Sometimes it's called the E form. So, it's nothing more than just taking that E open chord and moving it up to give you different chords. But of course, all the open strings need to move up too. So that's where the bar finger comes into play. Okay, so start with just the second, third, and fourth fingers playing the E shape. Move that around just randomly, keeping the shape in the fingers on the fretboard. Then add the index finger, just touching down on the strings, not pushing down at all. Shouldn't be any pressure in your arm or anything like that. And you're just moving it around. Okay, this is getting you used to the shape that is the root 6 major bar chord shape. And when you play the minors and the root 5s, they're all based around the same sort of technique. So we don't want to get into how do I find all these different bar chords or which one gives me major, minor in this video. It's more just about the technique and the mechanics of forming and sounding the shape. Okay, so now you've acquainted yourself with the root 6 major bar chord. Take a little bit of time to get used to that shape, but you don't have to do it for days on end before you look at the next step or anything like that, because all these steps are kind of designed to be worked on at the same time. It's not like you've got to get the chord shape perfect and moving around and quick and all that before you can look at what we're going to look at now. It's better to spend a little bit of time on that first part and then move to the next part, and you kind of rotate through. They're all going to contribute to you making nice clean bar chord changes and so forth on the guitar. So here's what I see students do all the time when trying to play bar chords. They're squeezing the hell out of the neck, okay, which is never going to help you. You're down the wrong pathway if you're doing that. We don't want to squeeze the neck of the guitar between the fingers playing the chord and the thumb on the back. I see people do that all the time. If you're squeezing the neck, you will never, ever get comfortable playing bar chords, okay? Do not squeeze the neck. So what happens when you do, when I see this happen, is it's basically, it's where your fingers are pushing in, say 50%, and the thumb is pushing in 50%. It's like a 50-50 kind of distribution of pressure, if you like, between the thumb and the fingers, which is way off. We don't want a 50-50. We want more like the fingers are doing most of the work. The thumb is just on the back of the neck to support the fingers at the front. It should be more sort of 80-20, if you like. 80% in terms of the pressure coming from the fingers at the front to push down onto the notes of the chord, and 20 or so percent sort of with the thumb on the back. We're barely pushing into the back of the neck, and we'll talk about that shortly. So to kind of get if you just go and grab your bar chord and the thumb and the fingers connect with the with their parts of the neck of the guitar at the same time, you're probably going to get into the habit of just squeezing. It's like when you go pick something up or whatever, you kind of just you just squeeze, okay, or grip if you like. Grip might be the word. So this is a good way to train this, okay. Take your fingers and play the bar chord shape. Doesn't matter where you play it. Maybe the 5th fret tends to be a pretty friendly place to play the bar chord. It's going to be more difficult down at the 1st fret. So if you're beginning with bar chords, don't be down around here. There's more tension in the strings. The frets are a bit wider. Somewhere around the 5th, 6th, 7th fret is a good sort of place, sweet spot to start with bar chords. But what I want you to do is to keep the thumb completely off the back of the fretboard. So you've only got the fingers. Now when I sound my bar chord there, it's 100-0, right? The thumb's doing nothing. So everything's coming from the fingers pushing down to sound the notes of the bar chord. Now, if you're new to bar chords, you're probably not going to get them all sounding with just the fingers and the thumb off the back of the neck. You might get this. That's fine. So the idea here is you're pushing down and again, if you sound all the notes, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter either way. But now what you're going to do, now you got your fingers pushing down on the back, or on the front rather, of the neck to sound the chord. You're now going to bring in the thumb and just place it on the back of the neck, right? Just on the back of the neck, pointing to the roof. Don't have your thumb shooting out to the side or, over the top like this or anything like that. It's just on the back of the neck, pointing to the ceiling. And you're going to add the thumb to take a little bit of the workload from the fingers. So instead of both thumb and fingers at the same time on the back of the neck and just going sort of 50-50, you can kind of control it a little bit more and go, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of the workload away from the fingers, and the thumb will do that. And that's where you can start to kind of get it. It's like an independence between the thumb and the fingers, right? The thumb can push a little bit. I even hesitate to say the word push because it's barely doing that on the back of the neck, but it's taking a little bit of the workload away from the fingers. So you start with the fingers, then bring in the thumb, and you start to see them as two separate entities in terms of the pressure that they're applying to their respective parts of the guitar neck, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's not like you're always going to do that at all. You'll just grab the guitar and play your bar chords, but it's just a way to kind of, be able to get that independence between the thumb and the fingers, so that, when the fingers push into the fretboard, you don't want your thumb automatically pushing back. That's basically what I'm saying here. But that's typically what you might do. Fingers push, thumb pushes. Okay, we're going to be able to push in with the fingers, but not have the thumb just react by pushing in just as hard from the back. that's when you start to squeeze and you get all this tension up and down your arm. Okay, so just some more pointers on the bar chord and things to focus on when you're practicing. So basically, we know where it comes from the E shape. We've got the barred finger, and you want to be, moving it around the fretboard. Just, randomly moving the shape. Doesn't matter where you place it, anywhere. Just to get used to maintaining shape in your fingers as you move it around the fretboard. Inevitably, what you're going to find if you're new to the shape is you're going to move and you're going to have to make adjustments in the new position because the frets have either got wider apart or closer together, and so that's fine. That's all part of the process and why you practice this, just to move the shape around to get used to maintaining the shape in the fingers as you move it to different positions on the guitar. A couple of additional things here. One, your fingers want to be right behind the frets, including the index finger that's barring. So notice here, it probably looks like my index finger is almost on top of the fret. It's right up pushed against the fret. So if I bar these 6 strings here, I can sound them all, right? Now if I move that across to this side of the fret, now I didn't relax my finger at all there. I'm pushing just as much as I was here. But this is the sweet spot, right behind the fret. If you're even in the middle of the fret, you're going to get the buzz in. And then you're going to push harder to try and avoid that, and there's all the pressure that comes in unnecessarily. So index finger right up behind the fret, and the same for the 2nd, 3rd and 4th fingers. Okay, so the 3rd finger might be a little bit more centered because the pinky's in the same fret on the string above, so that's fine. But you got the fingers more right behind the frets, rather than, it can look identical like this. But I'm not going to sound it well because I've got my fingers, over the wrong side of the fret. I've got to be right behind the fret, and it will make a lot of difference to the clarity of your bar chord. And that's the same for any chords on the guitar for that matter. Just subtle little shifts, movements make a difference. So, you want to play around with this. Sometimes just slightly moving that barred finger up or down just gets it in that spot where you can sound all the notes. Make sure the middle finger there is bending at both knuckle joints. Okay, you don't want to have that finger collapsed here or not bending at other joints there. Make sure that it's bent and pushing down into the fretboard. Okay, so just as you move the shape around, you can you can practice moving the shape around, and then you can stay in one spot and just focus on some of those finer details. Now, one thing before we finish up here is coming back to sort of the positioning of the hand and the thumb and the fingers and so forth, and the tension that we want or don't want, rather. This arm should be nice and relaxed, right? You don't want your shoulder pushing up when you're trying to play a bar chord or anything for that matter. It should be just sitting there in its socket. The bicep should be nice and relaxed. The forearm here, the elbow, all very relaxed when you're playing the bar chord. If you find that you're squeezing and your bicep is flexing and you're all stiff in the arm here, you're doing it wrong. That's where you're pushing and squeezing the neck. This thumb is really just weighted down on the back of the fretboard, and these fingers kind of weight down a little bit on the strings too. There's a bit of a gravitational pull downward on your hand when you're playing the bar chord. We're not pushing in. It's not the thumb and the fingers just pushing in like a vice. It's not like sometimes it's like when people play bar chords, it's like the hand is a vice. Here's the piece of wood we're going to put in the vice, and we're going to grip it, or whatever you do with a vice. I think you get my point. But we don't want that, right? It's a bit of it's pulling downward, and this is all very relaxed. Okay, the forearm, the shoulder, the bicep, they're all very, very relaxed while you're playing the bar chord. Okay, so you can hold the bar chord shape and actually put your hand, you can just kind of feel and make sure this is all nice and loose and relaxed and weighted down. There's a bit of a pull downward as you play the chords. Okay, keep those things in mind when you're working on the bar chords, the execution and the mechanics of sounding the chord itself. Be very, very patient. It does take time. It's part of it is just doing this regularly, not for a long time, but each day. Maybe you spend 5 minutes on bar chords each day. If it's regular, you'll start to get them sounding clearer and clearer before too long. And as you do, you'll develop a callus down your index finger, the barring finger. I can feel mine there now. That's going to come as you play them more. So, when you're first trying to play bar chords, it's going to sound hard to play all these notes, no matter what you do, or to sound all these notes. But with a little bit of time and playing the bar chords regularly, you'll find you develop that callus, so you don't have to push as hard on the strings to sound them, to connect them with the fretboard. So there's some tips on bar chords. Above everything else, as I said, just be patient and work with bar chords. They're going to be a very important part of your playing, and they're going to become very, very easy for you to play before too long. If you like this lesson, then you'll love this free ebook audio I've created for you about using fragments of chords to solo with on your acoustic guitar. Of course, chords are thought of in the context of rhythm guitar playing. However, have you ever considered them for soloing? In this ebook, you learn 5 unique ways to use chord fragments to solo with on your guitar. Chord fragments allow you to create a great dynamic with the contrast of single notes to chords in the lines you play. All examples in the ebook have been broken down into the finest of detail, so you can not only play them, but understand what is going on, so you can use chord fragments in your own guitar solos. So click the link below the description of this video and download your free ebook audio, How to Improve Your Acoustic Guitar Solos by using these 5 cool and easy tricks. If you like this video, then hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that all-important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. As always, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.